Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the future of the water, wastewater, and water industry and the careers you didn't know about. I'm Dave Kosminski, your host, and we are podcasting live at the Viking Hotel here in lovely downtown Newport for our annual CTAWWA AWWA concert. So here with us right now is a colleague of mine from the Aquarion Water Company, Miss Carolyn Giampe. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for jumping in on the Sustainability Committee for me. That was much appreciated.
You're very welcome. It's an exciting challenge.
Well, you know, it's everything today seems to be an exciting challenge.
This is true.
So anyway, so tell us about your storied career in how you got into the water industry.
My storied career. I started 20 years ago at Aquarion in an environmental compliance role.
Uh-huh.
I was an environmental studies major. As an undergraduate, that's pretty broad, and you can go in a million different directions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was interested in pollution and compliance and regulatory issues, and I thought I wanted to be like an in-house compliance person.
Okay.
So I got a little bit of experience with that, and co-op and my first job, and then Aquarion was advertising for a role like that, an environmental compliance person. 20 years ago, it was the first environmental compliance person that the company was going to have in that dedicated role. So that's how I got into the water industry.
Wow. Okay.
And after doing that for a couple of years, and part of that required some project management.
Mm-hmm.
There was an underground storage tank issue. I would take care of that. There was non-contact cooling water going through generators that needed to be permitted. I was managing projects.
Okay.
And the head of the engineering department tapped me on the shoulder and asked me
We need you.
if I would consider taking an open position in the engineering department.
Nice.
I snowballed from there. I was a project manager for many years, and then a supervisor of a small group, and then a manager of a bigger group, spending a lot of money on infrastructure projects, treatment.
Sure.
I did not work on the mains and the roads, but I worked on pump stations and dams and tanks and treatment facility upgrades.
And now, are you located at Lindley Street or Main Street?
I was at Lindley Street for all of those years, and now I am at our Aspatuck Environmental Center in Easton.
That is a lovely place.
It really is. Don't tell anybody.
No, I know.
Oops.
We did a water boot camp with Mr. H down there for many years ago, and we took the kids out to that. It's great out there.
Yeah,
it's nice.
yeah, it's great.
Really out of the way, and nice. So, anyway, so as far as Aquarion obviously is an investor-owned company.
Correct.
Okay, and I believe they are owned by Eversource now.
Also correct.
Okay, how has that changed the role as far as in relation to water?
Yeah, so that has been interesting, and one of the most impactful things for a lot of people at the company, and it's a positive, is the level of investment.
Sure.
We've increased the level of capital investment quite dramatically in the last several years. I don't know the percentages off the top of my head, but a lot. And it was instant as well. Upon taking over, they looked at the books, what's your plan? And they said, whatever our capital plan was, if it was $90 million, they said, no, we want you to spend $120 million.
Okay.
So right away, boom, that involves staff and operations teams and engineers and consultants and a lot of people, and obviously the infrastructure
Yes.
benefits from that investment.
Well, the other thing that drives a lot of, those types of decisions, is regulations as they come down the pike on,
Sure.
Contaminants, watershed, lead pipe placement, all of that kind of stuff plays into, it's one of those things you kind of have to add money and stir,
Right.
As far as that goes.
Right. So it occurs to me that you have editing capabilities with your podcast,
yeah.
because I was telling you my career progression through the water industry, and I didn't get to the stop where I am right now.
Well, do tell.
So I was the manager of part of the capital program for many years, But 2 years ago, I became our Director of Sustainability and Environmental Management.
Nice.
So that's a kind of dramatic
Sure.
flip. It goes back to my roots,
Yes.
and I have a lot of familiarity and comfort with in the source protection world, and the compliance world, to fall back on. And then we have these other interesting challenges where I'm getting to learn new things still. Even
Sure.
you can teach an old dog new tricks with
Oh,
our
sure.
greenhouse gas inventory and our carbon neutrality goal,
Yep.
and our water conservation program on the demand side,
Yes.
and all those things.
Well, let's put it this way. I feel very comfortable handing over the helm for the sustainability committee to you. I think the committee is in great hands, and we're still working together. So, which is
I hope so, and it's
yeah.
very, very glad to have that continuity and have you
as far as
still
that goes,
participating.
there's a lot of history there. When I started in the section, it was the conservation committee, and then that conservation committee kind of migrated to the website committee, which included all of that, and then it migrated to the sustainability committee, which is kind of the umbrella started getting bigger, as you start to get there.
For sure, it's a big word.
Yeah, it is, and it covers a lot of facets of the industry, and again, a lot of those facets, are basically derived from regulations, and again, as things evolve, and you guys are bought out by EverSource, that changes the dynamic and changes the direction, and it's for the good thing. So change. They always say change is good. So do you like what you do?
I do. I do like it. We wear a lot of hats in the water industry. I think this is pretty true everywhere. It's not just me. So one of the benefits of that is that you're very rarely bored. If you're bored, you're probably not paying attention.
Exactly.
So there's always something to get involved in. There's always a new challenge. There's always, like you said, an emerging contaminant, a new regulation. Just the political,
that's
shifts.
a whole different animal in itself.
Expectations from customers.
Sure.
It just keeps changing, and we have to keep responding to that. So.
Absolutely. I think from that standpoint, the industry is always evolving, and obviously, from being jumping on board with the sustainability, my mantra has been developing, a succession plan for
Yes.
As you know, we're all getting older, and so forth. So we have to start building that pipeline, and hence the podcast. And basically, the podcast has been basically a storytelling event of letting people know, of students, of what careers are available in the industry. And I'm just asking, people, in the industry, what's their day job, what's it like, and so forth, because every job is different, everybody is different, and from a standpoint of, young students that are finding their way through high school and through college and embarking on what am I going to do for the rest of my life. A lot of these careers within the water industry are, like the podcast said, careers you didn't know about.
Right. We have in our environmental group, I talked about compliance a little bit. So we have a person who specializes in that. He has to understand wastewater regulations and air regulations. We have a forester.
Sure.
We own a lot of land.
Yes.
And the other large water utilities have foresters as well. That might be a surprise. It's not a surprise to you, but it might be a surprise.
No, absolutely not.
To a lot of people. We have people who focus on source protection. So looking at potential threats of pollution to all that land, looking at all the development that's happening in the watershed, commenting on behalf of the company and the industry when we think development is inappropriate in drinking water watersheds. We have a security team.
Yeah, you kind of guys own police force almost.
Yeah.
As well as, fleet maintenance. You have to maintain all of that, all of the trucks and backhoes and all of that stuff.
We have a small but powerful team of maintenance. We call them watershed maintenance technicians, and they get to operate some really fun equipment. I'm a little jealous some days, the dam slope mowers and all sorts of fun stuff.
It's amazing the technology that's come out with the dam slope mowers. They're robotic. it's just like driving a,
Yeah,
a radio car. and
Yeah,
so forth. So,
yeah. So yeah, I see them loading up a piece of equipment in the morning, and
Yep.
they're going to maintain, some of our infrastructure or a logging road that we need to have access to, or
Yep.
or whatever the case may be.
Now the makeup of your water supplies, is that pretty well? Is it evenly matched between groundwater and surface water? Or?
The production, no. The vast majority of our production comes from our surface water supplies. We have 29 dams and 9 surface water treatment plants. We have many, many more wells, but the volume of water
But you've also taken over some smaller systems around the state.
we have.
Okay.
Yes. So we operate systems. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but we could own a system that only has about 50 customers in it, right? A developer built
Yeah.
the development and the water system, and we've taken it over.
And they've walked away.
And then we have, the greater Bridgeport system with tens of thousands of people.
Yes, I remember before Aquarion became Aquarion, it was called Bridgeport Hydraulic. And so forth.
I was a BHC employee for about 2 months. And
Okay,
then
and then the transition.
as a matter of fact, they said, we're not going to give you any uniform, T-shirts or sweatshirts or anything yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Just going to hold off a little bit.
And hold off on the business cards. For a little.
Yeah, a couple months later, I understood why.
Yes.
Changed
yes,
her name.
Yes. Now, when you get, from the standpoint of ownership, obviously you guys are owned, at present by EverSource, and now the ownership role from Bridgeport Hydraulic, I think it went to Kelda and so forth. So that was, I think, a British company.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
I remember years ago, my student program, we actually did your website, and I remember taking students down. I think at the time Adrian Vaughn was
Oh,
working
yeah.
there. Okay, and so we had a meeting down at Main Street, and I brought about 4 students with us that were on the web team and so forth, and we sat up in the conference room on the 2nd floor. And we were communicating with their senior management, which is across the pond, and they had the cameras there. And my kids are going, "Oh my God!" It was quite.
That's a great experience for those students, I'm
Yeah.
sure, and that's a beautiful boardroom.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Just so
And
stately.
and a historic building in Bridgeport. Yeah.
Yes, it was. But
Yeah.
they were just in awe, looking at. He's actually across the pond. We're talking to him like he's across the room here.
Yeah.
That's
Fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. So, now as far as going, obviously our market here. I'm trying to get this out to our guidance counselors and and so forth. What words of wisdom would you say to a potential students that are looking for a pathway in life?
Yeah, I think there's something, and we're at a conference right now, and people have said this before. It's not my necessarily an original thought of mine, but I have made this observation many times that the people that we work with in the water industry, they take a lot of pride in working in their communities, in the service that we deliver, and that there's probably a personality type that kind of goes along with that, right? When I graduated from school and I was interested in environmental compliance, there are a million consulting firms that I could have gone to work for. And I knew about myself, I didn't really want to work for a consulting firm. I didn't want to write a spill plan for somebody and never know, did anybody ever read the plan?
Is it sitting on
Did
somebody's
anybody
shelf?
use the plan? Did it help prevent a spill? I didn't want to do that. I wanted to work for the company, know the people who worked there, be involved in communicating, training, and all those things. So I think that's something that young people might not know exactly what they want to do in life, but I think they may be kind of tapped into that.
Sure.
Even at the high school age, right? If that kind of appeals to them. So there's that. I think that's the number one thing. And then the other thing is just the huge variety of positions that are available.
Sure.
Not just at a drinking water utility, but an electric or wastewater utility. We need accountants.
We need HR people.
We need regulatory people. We need HR people, training people, fleet maintenance people. In addition to the engineers who get who get to
Yeah,
do
there's
some
the
really
nuts and bolts.
fascinating,
Yes.
if you're inclined to go on that professional
Sure.
route, who get some really interesting, fascinating challenges to work on.
As well as customer service people that pick up the phone and answer, say, you know, what's your problem?
Yeah.
Or what?
Customer service people, the operators that run the treatment plants. I don't know, I can't imagine what a high school student is thinking a drinking water treatment plant looks like, but there are extremely automated facilities
They
at this point in time. So on one hand, you need to be kind of a mechanically inclined person because you need to understand what's happening and how it's working. But you also have to have that aptitude to be able to sit and be looking at your control center
Yep.
and understand what all those things are telling you.
Yes. Technology has progressed phenomenally,
Yeah.
throughout the years, and remote management, and SCADA systems, and all of that type of stuff. Which that's a double-edged sword.
It is.
It allows operators to work from home. I remember when you get an alarm. Okay, the phone rang. You had to go down to the plant to find out what's wrong.
Why is your phone ringing?
Oh,
I
okay,
don't know.
so-
Now right.
Yeah.
And now you can open your laptop and look and see, and you may be even able to change
Sure, settings.
whatever's happening.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to turn that pump off and turn this pump on.
Yeah.
Or maybe not, depending on
Yeah,
what the
yeah, no,
situation is.
exactly.
But there's just this huge variety. Whether you're a math kid, who wants to be an accountant, an engineer, or like
Somebody
we said,
into-
customer service, meter reading.
Now, does Aquarion do any outreach as far as offering tours to schools and that type of stuff?
We have not done that in quite a while, and I would be guessing if I said that's solely because of the pandemic or because of some of these other security concerns maybe layered in there. We have done it in the past. I know my own daughter's Girl Scout troop got
Oh, yeah.
to go on a water treatment plant tour at one point. So it's most definitely we have done them in the past. They have not been happening lately.
I think one of the things, I had Melissa down here, who's the past president of AWWA, and a comment that she made is that we as water professionals have to talk about the good things that we do. I think people don't realize that a lot of times you get into a situation, people take for granted the utility. You open the faucet and water comes out, and there's a lot that goes into making that water happen. There's a lot of personnel. There's a lot of making it safe and potable, and complying with the regulatory components, and so forth. So it's not as easy as that all the time, and so forth. Making students realize, okay, that there is a depth, and the neat thing, and I've been telling it on all our podcasts as far as that goes, is that the water industry, as we know it, it's a very secure industry, and it's also an industry that you can't necessarily outsource. You need boots on the ground.
You need boots on the ground. Absolutely. You do. We have something we didn't talk about is water quality. It's a whole department.
Sure.
It's water quality.
Yep.
And they have, even within that department, there are field techs who collect samples.
Samples, yeah.
They need to know what they're doing. Sample collection, some samples have very prescribed methods
Sure.
of collecting them to get the result that you need and to be able to trust the result. So that, there's sample collection people, there's laboratory people, there's people who get all the results back and analyze the results and make sure everything is as it's supposed to be. If something's not as it's supposed to be, what's happening, what's going on, troubleshooting that issue with the operations team.
For sure, and that has to be reported to the state.
And
so
there's a lot of reporting to the state, exactly.
compliance.
Yep.
As far now, does Aquarion maintain? I think they do most of their tests.
We have a laboratory. We do many of our own tests, and we outsource tests to locally. We're not.
Yes, I think
New Haven
is it,
and Stratford and
is Khalil still there?
he's not. He retired.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay, see, there we go.
Yeah. He is. He's an abutter to our watershed property. However, so one of my staff saw him the other day because he was out doing watershed inspection.
Nice.
It's a small world.
Years ago, Mr. H and I, we did one of the first water boot camps
Yep.
for Aquarion, and Khalil was an instrumental part in fascinating the kids on what goes on in a laboratory and being able to do cultures and be able to test water and collect samples and the proper protocols for doing that. And he was just an awesome guy. To make that happen.
He was. He was. You were talking about all the good things we do. He was also instrumental in our social and recreation committee.
Okay.
Which is no small thing.
Yes.
Making sure we have the most fantastic children's Christmas party every year. In addition to some more adult.
Well, gotta keep the adults happy.
Holiday parties and things like that. So yes, we have a picnic in the summer.
Sure.
And all those things. So that's committee. He was very devoted to that committee.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, getting to that on a personal side, what do you like to do for fun? What do you do for hobbies?
Well, I have a tween and a teen, so I don't. My hobbies are their hobbies.
Okay.
Right at this juncture in life. So I go to a lot of baseball games.
Yes.
I do a lot of chauffeuring, tennis practice, and, soccer games as well, and that sort of thing. We have a dog. So
Okay. What kind of dog?
I'm the chief dog walker.
Okay. All right.
But he's an English lab.
Oh, okay.
He's an English lab, and he's very large for his breed.
Okay.
Very tall, very broad.
Yeah.
Big boy.
You buy the 50-pound bags.
He walks me.
Of dog food.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, I'm obviously involved in a lot of music, so I always ask a musical question. So, what's your favorite, or let's put it this way, do you remember the first concert you ever went to?
Oh my gosh, the first one. I don't know the first one. The last one I went to was to see Josh Ritter at Tarrytown. Are you familiar with Josh Ritter?
Yes.
That was great. I've seen him several times. My husband and I are very big music fans.
Okay.
I will credit him mostly because when I met him, I probably, I was just a top 40 girl. Top 40 station on in the car. That's who I knew. If an artist was, in the top 40, I knew them. If they weren't, I didn't know them. And he had much broader musical interests.
Well, Tarrytown, that's such a nice venue.
Yeah, really nice venue. So he really broadened my horizons there. So,
nice. That's good. Okay, favorite food? If you were stuck on a desert island, you could only eat one thing.
A genre or an actual meal?
Well, either way.
I like spicy food, so I like Asian, Southeast Asian, Thai, Indian.
Pile on the cumin.
Yeah, a little bit of heat.
There you go.
I didn't put enough sriracha on my ramen last night. I was a little sad about that.
Yeah, that was a little weird. The ramen, the soup was hot by the time it was so cold up there. By the time you got to your seat,
that was a tough. The weather wasn't cooperating. Yeah.
So I got a couple good pictures of there were two seagulls that came and they were talking.
I hope that was after I got my.
No, they were just sitting on the railing up there, and they were just scoping out everybody,
seeing what was available.
Seeing what was available, and saying what was on the menu or whatever, and so forth. But that's great. So, all right. Anyway, Carolyn, thank you so much for coming on. Any words of wisdom for an upcoming student that might be considering?
My words of wisdom are simply to check it out, ask questions, reach out. The people in this profession are. It's just a great field.
Yes.
People are helpful. They want to help.
Yes, and it's a surprisingly, it's a small community, and it's a very intimate community. And like you say, all of the people that I've run into throughout the years, they're passionate about what they do, and they're proud of what they do, and that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, that's no small thing.
For sure. Okay, Miss Carolyn Giampe is in the house from Aquarion Water, and thank you, Carolyn. And this is the future of the water and wastewater industry and the careers you didn't know about and the people, that make it all happen. So Carolyn's in the house. I'm your host, Dave Kosminski. Stay tuned. We're here at the lovely Viking Hotel in downtown Newport with our CTAWWA conference. So we'll see you soon. Thank you so much.